Hello and welcome to another OCR B GCSE Geography revision PowerPoint. This one is going to focus on globalisation, but also it will focus on the idea of transnational or multinational corporations. Globalisation is, by definition, something of an economic phenomenon. It can be said to be social and also cultural phenomenon. Every country has its own political and economic systems, as well as its own culture. Globalisation is the process of all the world's systems and cultures becoming more integrated. It's the whole world coming together like a single community, and it happens because of international trade and the production and sale of goods, international investment and improvements in communications. You're probably very familiar with many of these major world brands, and most of them, if not all, are located in MEDCs, but yet a lot of their production is in LEDCs. Globalisation can be said to be down to various different factors. There have been some massive advances in terms of transport. Improved transport means that people and goods can be moved around the world more quickly, and distances between places hasn't changed, but the time taken to get to these places has. In many cases, those distances are now far shorter. Communication technology has also improved. With the advent of the internet, it's meant that capital, money can be transferred instantly between locations. People can use telephones and the internet to communicate more easily in real time, such as FaceTime. And there have been developments of the mass media itself. Improvements in technology have also led to the development of mass media, television, radio, the internet. Far off places definitely seem a lot more closer than they ever have been. And lastly, but by no means, we've got this idea that these factors have led to increased interdependence between places. We are very reliant on other countries, and they are very much reliant on us as well. There are other factors that are key and important, such as the complexities of international trade. We've got this idea that trade barriers have been lowered between various different blocs like the United States and the European Union, and it allows various different companies to infiltrate these markets and therefore sell those products. And a lot of countries have moved from communism, with the exception of perhaps Cuba and North Korea, to a more capitalist system. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of globalisation? Well, I suppose globalisation lets countries do what they do best. If, for example, they are good at steel, you can buy cheap steel from another country and you don't have to make it yourselves. You can focus on things that you can do well, which might be computers. Globalisation gives you a larger market. Instead of being able to sell your products in your own country, you've now got goods that you can sell abroad and therefore make more money for your company and create more jobs. Consumers also profit from globalisation, although I'm a bit sketchy on that in many respects. Products have supposedly become cheaper and you get your goods more quickly. There are many disadvantages to globalisation. It can cause unemployment. That's been seen to a large degree in many factories in the UK, particularly textiles industries, because firms have moved their factories to places where they can get cheaper workers. Globalisation may lead to more environmental problems. A company may want to build factories in countries where environmental laws aren't as strict. In the UK there are various different rules that are in place and fines also. Poor countries in the third world may cut down more trees so they can sell more wood to richer countries. Globalisation can lead to financial problems as well, as we've seen with the recent recessions. And in many cases some businesses will pull out of countries if they are in recession. Some of the poorest countries in the world, especially in Africa, make it even poorer. Their populations aren't as educated as in developed countries, and they don't have new technology like we do. And as we've seen very recently with various flu epidemics, human and animal and plant diseases can spread more quickly through globalisation. So why is globalisation increasing? Industry is organised on a worldwide scale now. There is a rapid growth of industry in LADCs, particularly in newly industrialised countries, also known as NICs. Companies can produce more cheaply, therefore they may have a cheap labour force and reduced power of trade unions, particularly in LADCs. Companies gain access to large growing markets in LADCs as well. That increases their output and also their profitability. Companies also gain access to markets through having economic barriers and trade restrictions lifted and tariffs and quotas. Improvements in telecommunications as well has also seen a massive increase in globalisation. The big drivers towards this have been these multinational or transnational corporations. These are companies that produce products and sell products, and they tend to be located in more than one country. So if you think about that slide, about 6 slides ago, which looked at all those groups of companies, they are definitely all key elements that are able to produce products and sell products in more than one country. Normally they're very rich, they employ many people, and they link countries together, but also bring a culture of their origin to others. So if you think about McDonald's, they've brought a very much an American idea to the rest of the world. Normally these multinational corporations have their headquarters in MEDCs, but a lot of their work takes place in LADCs. Most research and development takes place in MEDCs, but a lot of the production of these products takes place in the LADCs. So as you can see from this particular slide, which you may want to pause, there are many advantages and disadvantages to transnational corporations. Obviously they do create jobs where they locate, and this can bring more jobs to the idea of the multiplier effect. TNCs spend money on infrastructure, whether that be airports and roads, and pay taxes, which can therefore be used by the government of that country to develop their particular economy. There are some disadvantages though. Other local companies may struggle to find businesses or workers and may end up shutting down. In many cases they do various different things. They do create very skilled jobs, which encourages education and training in an area, but in many cases the profits go back to the origin country, usually the MEDC. Nike is a good example of a company that has factories all over the world. Nike has 34 plants in Vietnam. 75% of the workers are in Southeast Asia, with the majority of the workers under 25 years of age. They do bring many benefits, such as substantial employment. They do pay higher wages than many other factories and improves the skills base. Other multinational corporations are attracted to Vietnam on the back of Nike being there, and exports from Vietnam are good for Vietnam's trade, and again that will contribute in tax to help pay for improvements to schools and roads. There are many problems levelled at Nike as a MNC in a LADC. The company's image through advertising might help to undermine the culture that has existed in Vietnam for many thousands of years. Nike's political influence on Vietnam government may become too strong, and investment is being transferred to other low-cost locations during the recession. Sometimes Nike employs subcontractors. These are not officially Nike factories, and therefore has led to the idea of sweatshops, which has created a very negative image for Nike as a company. Here are some examples of questions which may be related to multinational companies that have been on previous GCSE exam papers. Name a multinational company that you've studied and a country where it's located. Explain how the multinational company affects the local people and the overall economy of the country. Notice this question has two parts to it: the local people and the overall economy. Include at least 3 different ideas with detail. You may want to actually do this question now, because on the following slides are level 1, level 2 and level 3 responses. Okay, here's a level 1 response. Typically, for level 1 you would say that jobs are created, people work long hours, and new industry helps the economy of the country. For level 2, the effects are more clearly described. Many jobs for local people who have had more money to spend in local shops. Factories produce dangerous chemicals which spill into local rivers. People use this water and become ill. Multinational corporations bring a lot of money into a country, so the government is forced to ignore illegal pollution. And the best developed answers would be like this. The job creation, the higher wages for other local employers, the multiplier effect of these high wages, the training to improve individual skills level, the investment in local infrastructure. It can bring disadvantages as well, that local people don't have access to highly skilled jobs. Often the number of jobs that are actually created are very small. The effects on the economy could be positive and negative. The country earns foreign currency. It stimulates further economic development, and raw materials and components are imported, so it can actually bring no benefit to the country as well. Multinational corporations sometimes become so powerful that it can influence the government decisions as well.